going to discuss the degenerate culture of capitalism and basically that creates these predators that we get that we're seeing being exposed right now all over mainstream media. So these people don't exist in a vacuum, right? This is a part of the culture that we basically value money, success, things that are materialistic. When people come to America, they have this whole perception of the American dream, and it's not good. When I was in my master's program, I was talking to this guy from India, and he told me that his goal was to, he watched these movies, right? And he said he wanted to chew with his mouth open, you know, and he wanted to have sex with a bunch of American white girls, but he was going to marry an Indian. So, I mean, I don't know what our perception of what it is to be an American is completely divorced from what the outside world thinks it is. They watch, everything that they see, not just on television, but even when they watch porn, they think that is reality. They think that that is what Americans are like. So they will walk up to, I can't say which country it is, but I've heard of American women who go to foreign countries and they meet these people, and then they can just walk up to and make crude sexual advances thinking that that's what American women want. But the outside world, especially, I'm trying to think of which, maybe Middle Eastern or whatever, those who have not been raised in America, they basically think that Americans are degenerate, completely degenerate. I'm not going to say we, but the whole notion that America is a Christian country, that is not how it is perceived in the outside world. Now, the whole worship of celebrities, that started with the Roman gladiators, right? Those were the original celebrities. But it sort of evolved from that. And that was basically just gratuitous violence. And they basically took pleasure in it. And the whole thing is that the celebrity worship culture is an objectification. They don't care about you. This is a persona that it's really created by the capitalists, and then the capitalists use that persona to get you to buy their merchandise. Now, I don't know which celebrities you guys looked up to when you were growing up. I think everybody can probably point to a few, right? The biggest one was Michael Jackson. I think I looked up to him until that whole sexual predator or pedo allegations, and I was too young to try to see through that. But at the time that I heard about that, I actually believed it. And it was really shocking. It was like everybody looked up to Michael Jackson, and then you don't have parents telling you that this is propaganda. And I don't know if y'all want to post in the comment section who y'all looked up to, but it's like, okay, I would probably say Chuck D from Public Enemy was my first one. I like Mariah Carey, I like Tina Turner. But it's like we have this perception of who these people are. Perception is reality, right? So I think I liked Tina Turner when I was probably like 5 or 6 years old. Every time her songs would come on the radio, I would just get all excited. And then I watched that movie, What's Love Got to Do with It? And it's like, that movie was so fake. And people think that it's reality. I read her book, her autobiography, and I also read Ike Turner's book. It was not even close. It's not even based on her version of it. I believe Ike Turner's version, because he actually admitted the things that even were unflattering. But that movie was completely fictitious. And people think they watched this movie, this is Tina Turner, and then people who actually know her, who actually met her, right, or grew up in that neighborhood, like Judge Joe Brown said that she was the one who was violent towards Ike, that she would initiate the violence. They said that she was pimping women out and that she had a nasty attitude. Um, allegedly, she shot Randy Jackson. They said she was a lesbian. There's a whole bunch of stuff about Tina Turner that we don't that I guess the mainstream media is not going to cover because they had this whole image that they put out that she was this sweet woman who got abused. And I'm not saying that she wasn't abused, but the story that I heard was that Ike was actually defending women because she was the one, she was going around getting in fights and stuff. So, and then the same thing with Mariah Carey. We look at her as being so sweet and innocent, but her sister and mom died on the same day, and they're from two different locations, not even in the same state, and nobody thinks that's questionable. And then when you say these things, people are saying, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist." No, I'm giving her the side eye. And you look at these celebrities, it's like there's always some mysterious death, and then all of a sudden their careers bloom again. It's like a resurgence of their career. When their careers are waning off, all of a sudden somebody dies, and then they get pushed to the forefront. There's always a mysterious death within these scenarios, right before their careers get big again. So, I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of stuff that people talk about within the celebrity realm, but you don't know what is true and what is not true. I think it's safer to say that you just don't know, right? Socrates was the wisest man because he did not know anything. And that's not to say he literally didn't know anything, but he didn't accept things as true just because somebody told him it was true. I don't trust the mainstream media. I can't say that these allegations are true or false, right? But I think so many people are dismissive. They write it off and say, "Oh, that's so far-fetched." Look at Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston, she interrupted an interview with Monica and Brandy and warned the public that somebody was trying to drown her. And I believe there were 2 attempts to drown her, and then her daughter was drowned in the same way. And then if anybody talks about it, people saying you're a conspiracy theorist. Shaka Khan talked about how they stole her essence, right? That's when I was talking about legalizing physician-assisted suicide, somebody came on my live stream and was saying that it was sadistic because they basically steal your essence. And I mean, I didn't want to talk about it on that live stream, but it's witchcraft that's going on. They still, you have to basically suffer, and they get some kind of power out of that. If you don't suffer, for you to just die is not enough. They have to steal your essence. So I really would like to know what happened to Mariah Carey's mom and her sister, but I'm giving her the side eye. I'm giving Jennifer Hudson the side eye. I'm giving all these people the side eye. Now, we've heard all these allegations about Diddy. We've heard allegations about Harvey Weinstein, R. Kelly. A lot of people dismissed it. But now it's coming to light. And it's not to say that these things aren't true, right? It's just that it's being used to further somebody else's agenda. So it was true. Like the Bill Cosby stuff was true. But it wasn't until he became problematic they decided to weaponize it in order to put him in his place. So, I mean, there's a lot of backstories that we don't hear, but apparently there was some kind of deal with his alcohol brand, and so they all knew that he was beating Cassie. I mean, this is not anything recent. This was 10 years. I don't know when that video emerged, but this wasn't anything recent. They all knew it, and they all sat on it. And even Jaguar Wright is basically capitalizing off of the abuse of these victims, and she's acting like she's so concerned. I'm giving Jaguar Wright the side eye too. I think Jaguar Wright is full of shit. She's acting like she was at all these parties and she saw all these things and she didn't do anything to help them. But she's acting like she's so noble. Like, oh, I didn't participate in that. I was just there. You were a bystander and you didn't do shit to help them. And why isn't anybody coming after Jaguar Wright yet? I mean, doesn't that seem suspicious? Why are they allowing her to run her mouth when they have deleted people for far less? They got rid of Kim Porter. They got rid of a whole bunch of people. Let me show y'all this video because I want because we're about to get into what the gosh. Oh, here it. Oh, I just need to change. 1 second, y'all. This is a scene from The Devil Wears Prada, because they put messages in movies that and I want y'all to let this sink in.
I see a great deal of myself in you. You can see beyond what people want and what they need, and you can choose for yourself. I don't think I'm like that.
So I'm assuming everybody watched this movie. It was a big movie, but basically Meryl Streep's character screwed over her associate in order so that she could stay in power. And now her assistant is saying, what you did was disgusting. I could never be like you. And she's saying, oh, you're just like me.
I couldn't do what you did to Nigel, Miranda. I couldn't do something like that. You already did. To Emily.
So Meryl Streep's character got her, I can't remember the name of this girl sitting next to her in a limo. She tricked her into throwing her associate under the bus so that she could test her to see how hungry she was in order to be successful. And she passed the test. That's the reason why Meryl Streep's character respects her so much, because she was dirty and she didn't think twice. She if y'all saw them, I mean, if y'all haven't, I don't know if you've been learning to rock, but that's a huge movie. I don't know anybody who hasn't seen it.
That's not what No, that was different. I didn't have a choice. Oh no, you chose. You chose to get ahead. You want this life? Those choices are necessary. But what if this isn't what I want? I mean, what if I don't want to live the way you live? Oh, don't be ridiculous, Andrea. Everybody wants this. Everybody wants to be us.
So that's the part I want y'all to hear, where she says everybody wants to be us. They put that in that movie for a reason. Everybody wants to be like them. So it's like, what are you willing to sacrifice in order to get that? And a lot of people are willing to sacrifice everything, including their own family members, including their souls. Roseanne Barr talked about how she sold her soul to the devil and then she wanted it back. I don't know if she was being literal, if she was joking or what, but they got to do a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, you don't get to be successful like that without making sacrifice, without destroying people's lives, without stepping on people's toes. And this is what people respect. They don't like people who are altruistic, right? That's a sign of weakness. If you look at the people who are revered in society, you look at somebody like Judge Judy, who's abusive. She tries to humiliate people on national television. People are saying she's a boss. She should run for president. You look at Donald Trump, right? Because Donald Trump would tell people you're fired on national television. People look at him like he's the boss, and now he should be president. Donald Trump said that when you're a celebrity, women will let you grab them by the vagina, right? Of course, his verbiage was more vulgar. There seems to be some kind of truth to that, because they throw themselves at these celebrities. I don't know what they think. They think that, well, I know what they think, because I've read it. There's something called celebrity worship syndrome, and they really look up to these people. They think that these people have a higher, I don't know, vibration or whatever it is, and basically they think it's going to rub off on them just by being close to them, that they don't want to be insignificant, right? Nobody wants to be insignificant. I told y'all that according to Schopenhauer, most of us are going to be completely forgotten within 2 or 3 generations. So, I mean, I know I didn't want to be average. I didn't want to be normal, but that my life just turned out to. I did everything right as far as I know, and then things just turned to shit. But people don't want to be normal. People don't want to be forgotten, right? And then if you can get validation from a celebrity, that means that you matter, I guess. And so, I mean, what are you getting out? It's not even like these women are getting money out of it. They just want validation from a celebrity that the celebrity is God. Um, and by the way, there's layers to this because though the industry creates those celebrities and then they destroy them. So it's like the whole cycle of narcissism going both ways. That it's the love bomb, devaluation, discard, and then hoovering. So the celebrity is both the predator and the prey. And this is what we do to celebrities. First, they have their honeymoon phase where they can't do any wrong. I mean, you can look at any celebrity. Britney Spears, Michael Jackson, Mariah Carey, and then they get devalued, they get discarded, hoover, and then it's wash, rinse, repeat, the same cycle. You basically have to stay relevant in order to have any type of influence, right? In order to be safe, because if you're not useful to them, then they're going to get rid of you. So, I mean, you look at Madonna trying to be an attention whore because she wants to remain relevant. Now, y'all post some comments in here. This as I go through, I want to show y'all this other video. This video right here is going is viral on TikTok. I think it is. It was reposted on YouTube. Okay, let me play this now.
Well, you know, from the angle of,
so he's about to get into the whole American culture of degeneracy. And he really echoes a lot of the stuff that Jean-Jacques Rousseau said. And when I talk about the philosophy stuff, like that is the foundation of it. I know that is boring, but there's a philosophy behind it, and there's also a psychology behind it. So, yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and play the video now. I'll just give commentary as we go through it.
Of social commentary or social critique, the Diddy case is quite rich. There's a lot to talk about. For me, the most interesting thing is what is demonstrated on multiple levels about the Western psyche. I mean, whether it's Weinstein or Epstein or Diddy or say R. Kelly or Dominique Strauss-Kahn, who everyone forgets about, the predation and the degeneracy of the super rich is always met with disingenuous shocking.
And so, for those of you who watched that video that I did about Jean-Jacques Rousseau, what that video was really about statism, but capitalism is an offshoot of statism. That when you live in a state of society as opposed to the state of nature, you basically become degenerate because society is telling you right from wrong. There's all these rules, but you don't learn it in an organic manner. You're just told what to do. It doesn't stick. Jean-Jacques Rousseau proposed a natural education. And so when you're constantly told what to do, you basically want to rebel and go against that. And then you think you're special, so you think the rules don't apply to you.
And discussed. While simultaneously, without fail, we're also...
So, okay, so the point that I was trying to make, and he did a separate video talking about this also, that the more laws and more rules that are put on society, the more degenerate you become. So we keep talking about people who live in third world countries, how they're savages. No, we're the savages. I mean, I'm not trying to be insulting, but the culture that we have, we're the ones who are degenerate. Jean-Jacques Rousseau postulated this notion of the noble savage, that when you live in a state of nature, that you are basically inherently noble, that you become ignoble by living in a state of society under all these rules and constraints. You look at all these people when they're constantly being abused and told what to do. These are the most degenerate people. You look at somebody who was raised in a very strict Christian household, and then at some point they're going to become an adult and they're going to rebel and they're going to be completely promiscuous and disregard everything that they were raised to do.
So always told that everyone knew what these people were doing for years. And in fact, I think that most people,
they do know, but all these allegations have been around. Even Wendy Williams have talked. Y'all can go back and listen to Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams was talking about this stuff back in the 90s. And I don't know, people thought she was making it up. This is not news. I mean, I don't understand how. I mean, I know there's no way to know for sure what is going on, but my whole thing is have an open mind. Don't be so dismissive. Why is it that you don't believe it until the mainstream media confirms it? The mainstream media is not credible. And even when they do tell you the truth, there's an agenda behind it. They can emphasize or de-emphasize whatever they want.
people do understand that this is how the super rich behave. So the shock is not genuine. But if we're being honest, the disgust isn't genuine either. Because in fact, being rich enough to behave this way is precisely why many people want to be rich. The predation and the degeneracy are not peculiarities of the wealthy. The thing that makes them different.
Now, if y'all listen to that video that I recently reposted about Aristotle, money chasing is not an end unto itself. You're supposed to seek money for some other purpose to serve a greater good, but we're just pursuing money that basically prevents you from living a good life. I know this stuff is boring, but it's all related. They want the money because they have nefarious purposes or intent in the first place. They want the money so they can abuse people and do it with impunity.
Different is that they have the resources that enable them to do it. But for a very large percentage of people in the West, the only thing that's preventing them from behaving the same way is their comparative poverty, not their comparative piety. The rich are not necessarily any worse than the rest of the people morally. Their wealth just removes the constraints that restrict other people from being just as bad. I mean, if you look at popular entertainment, the sort of lifestyles that are promoted in popular entertainment and were promoted in the film and music industries by the likes of Weinstein and Diddy and R. Kelly and everyone else, that's the degenerate, debauched, hedonistic, anti-human, immoral lifestyle that they themselves were living and to which the consumers of that entertainment aspire. It's completely consistent with the mentality of colonizers and slave masters. The fantasy lifestyle for Westerners is brutal. It is to dominate, to humiliate, to exploit, abuse, subjugate, degrade, objectify, dehumanize, tyrannize, and enslave. That's the Western fantasy. It always was, and it is now, and they act upon it any chance they get. I mean, they'll prosecute these types of people, these select cases, only to absolve themselves. You know, they need to burn someone at the stake just to convince themselves that they're better than them, that they're more righteous and more moral than them, but they're not. Most of them are not. I mean, look at any music video, almost any music video, and tell me how it's not promoting the exact same lifestyle that you claim to hate Epstein and Weinstein and Diddy for. Meanwhile, those videos have hundreds of millions of views and hundreds of millions of likes, and you memorize the words of those songs. You have a problem. You can't reform yourself.
Well, because when you see it in the music videos, it's supposed to be a fantasy. You don't think that this is actually happening, right? But on a subconscious level, this is what is appealing to people. They like this stuff. That society has created these monsters, right? You're glorifying them, you're giving them your money, and they're being rewarded for it. So of course they're going to keep doing it. And they've been getting away with it for so long. It's not until that they rub the wrong person the wrong way that they're going to actually have to face a consequence.
You can't reform and rehabilitate your so-called civilization by just prosecuting token offenders. Finding these people guilty doesn't make you innocent. When you made them rich and you made them famous on the very basis of the degenerate messaging that they promoted and that you devoured. You've endorsed it all along, and you endorse it now. You aspired to it then, and you aspire to it now. I mean, you literally have someone like Andrew Tate, who directly built his wealth through and for this very lifestyle, and by selling it to others, selling to others how they could do the same thing and have that same lifestyle.
And what is so appealing about Andrew Tate, other than the fact that he flexes his wealth, which is unearned wealth, which I explained to y'all this whole monetary system, and he's going to address that also, but that's the reason why it's not noble. To be wealthy without earning it, you basically just took it from someone. It's not a reflection of your character.
Because this is the Western male fantasy. I mean, think about it. Everybody in this case, in the Sean Combs case, everybody wants to know about the celebrities who were at those parties. No one wants to know about the nameless, faceless executives.
No, I want to know about the politicians. I mean, I guess I want to know about the executives too, but I really want to know about the politicians.
The obscure, pasty old men for whom those parties were undoubtedly actually arranged in the first place. The celebrities were just the draw. They were the party favors provided for those anonymous owners and controllers of global financialized capital. But you want to know about the celebrities because even in your proclaimed disgust, you're still fantasizing. So I find the selective disgust to be performative. And that's actually useful. That's a useful thing to know.
It is performative because there's real abuse going on right now. And even in the porn industry, these women are being abused on camera and they're being paid to pretend that they enjoy it. And people are sitting around getting pleasure from it. And it's getting more and more extreme. There is no way that they actually enjoy it. And when you look at listen to their interviews, they're talking about how they're traumatized by what they did on camera, and people are shaming the women. Oh, you're a slut. You should have known better. It's like a lot of them are desperate. They're on drugs, and they're being pressured by their agents to go more and more extreme. And then we just gang up on the women, and the men get a free pass. I mean, wouldn't it make more sense to shame the abuser as opposed to shaming the abuse? The abuse, like the women aren't the one who are going around I'm talking about in the porn industry. They're being abused on camera. They're doing extreme shit, and it's getting worse and worse. And after you have completely humiliated yourself for this money, right? That money is going to pay your bills for this month or the next month. But what are you going to do with the rest of your life? There was a woman who did porn, and she was using it to fund her legal education. She was in law school, and then they found out and they basically shamed her and called her a slut. Okay, but what were you going to do? Like, I mean, most of us who go to school, we get a whole bunch of student loan debt. At least she didn't have student loan debt. She took agency of her body, but why is she being shamed for it?
About the Western psyche and how they respond when the crimes of their society get highlighted. Because yes, in my view, these are crimes of Western society because the individual crimes of someone like Diddy are reflective of the values and the aspirations of Western society itself.
Again, we keep talking about how those who live in third world countries are savages, but it's like these things don't happen in this state of nature, right? In a natural environment, there would be social consequence. There would be social pressure put on people for abusing women and abusing children. But there's protection, and I almost feel like the legal system is actually being weaponized to assist these people and to protect them. Right? You have corporations protecting their artists, and they're bribing judges, and people don't even know what to do. People are so scared they don't even know whether to file a lawsuit because you don't know who's in on it.
So when these crimes get highlighted, in other words, when for whatever reason, for any particular individual, these crimes are suddenly and selectively subject to accountability, there's a choir of hypocritical condemnation and outrage. Now, that matters to me, for instance, in the context of the Article 6 campaign to expel the United States from the United Nations, because just like Diddy.
And he's done content about that. The United States needs to be held accountable for its war crimes. We keep wagging our finger at other countries. And I really wish somebody would talk about, I guess if you're a politician and you say that, then you're going to be seen as a traitor. But you don't necessarily have to condemn the whole country, but you need to condemn the individual state actors. You need to condemn Hillary Clinton. You need to condemn George Bush. Condoleezza Rice, who is now saying that we need to beef up our military spending. And all these people got away with it. So, yeah, y'all need to go back and listen to my other content because I explained to y'all how this whole monetary system works. But it's an entire racket. And it's based on force. Our currency is imposed on the third world through military force. And that's what most of these wars are about. And then it just trickles down. You just get more and more degenerate.
Or Weinstein or whoever, just like those criminals, and just like how everyone has known about their degeneracy for years, so too everyone knows about America's crimes. And just like with Diddy or with Weinstein, everyone is complicitly silent until the moment of accountability comes. Then they all rush to a microphone to distance themselves and disown the criminal with self-absolving condemnation. So this is why you might see France and the UK not veto Article 6 at the Security Council, because once we bring all the US violations to light in an official venue, not just in an essay or a book or a lecture or what have you, but actually in an official legal venue.
The reason that the United States doesn't get held accountable is because the United States is the primary enforcer of UN resolutions. So the United States can actually act unilaterally. There were 6 countries that had basically a super vote, and then I think now there are 5. But yeah, the United States has a disproportionate amount of power when it comes to United Nations, and because of that, that's the reason why Israel is allowed to get away with its war crimes. And I don't know. I guess if you get rid of the United States from the UN, then who's going to enforce the resolutions? Some other countries would have to start taking a large share of their federal budget to fund the military. Our military, again, go back and listen to that live stream. That live stream got very few views, but I explained how this whole economic system works. There's a reason why we put so much money into the military. That's what's keeping our economy going.
Violation after violation, crime after crime, human rights abuse after human rights abuse, stretching back for 8 decades. And call it out for what it is. Why France and the UK are likely to act just like every associate of Diddy or Weinstein or Epstein or any of these other degenerate predators, and race each other to the podium to condemn and distance themselves and exonerate themselves and try to salvage their own reputations and polish their own image and assure the world of how good they are, how law-abiding they are, how principled they are by throwing America under the bus.
Right. It's just like narcissism. It's like you need external validation because you don't have any self-esteem. So society is who tells you whether you're good or bad. You don't know whether you're good or bad on your own, right? You need society to tell you. And it's based on these unjust laws. It's based on how much money you make, based on how much fame you have. And if society is telling you that you're good, then you're good, even though your behavior is objectively abhorrent.
Do you think that any of the European colonial powers were actually happy to watch the US take over their empires? No. France and the UK are both seething with bitterness and resentment and envy. While they'll be just as happy to watch America fall as all those associates and co-conspirators of Diddy are happy to watch that belligerent criminal go to jail, if they have been clever enough to protect themselves from being prosecuted themselves for their association with him. I think France and the UK are just the same. They're in the same position as those associates of Diddy. They won't veto Article 6 because it would too blatantly expose them as being part of the same criminal syndicate as America. It's like cutting a deal for immunity with prosecutors. This is why it's useful to...
It's not the European countries that want to see America fall, because they're in on it and they reap the benefits from our, I don't know, military exertion around the world. They benefit from it. Again, go back and listen to that live stream. I talked to you about the exchange rates, how our wealth is stolen because it's based on manipulation of the currencies. And he's about to talk about that in a minute. And it benefits Europe. The people who are getting screwed are the third world. The African countries, Asian countries, they're the ones who want to see America fall. The Europeans are not really concerned with America.
Understand the psyche, because frankly, it helps with analysis and strategizing to understand the Western psyche, to know who you're dealing with and how they behave. I mean, there are actually so many facets to this story in terms of social critique. Like the fact that, okay, someone like Diddy, and actually most of the artists who were associated with him were actually mediocre talents at best, with one or two exceptions. But you can literally see people uploading independently on social media today who are immeasurably more talented than these people are, than the people who the industry designates as being top-tier artists.
And that's the reason why the industry thinks they own you, because the industry literally created you. The industry created this whole image. Now, you can take somebody who's talented, but if you don't have the right marketing and the right production behind you, then you're not going to be successful. You can look at somebody like Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey's not the only person on the planet who can hit those high notes, but Tommy Mottola invested a whole lot of money into her, and he basically thought that he owned her. So he tried to control her, and she didn't like it. She thought she was a free agent, and he had to put her in her place. So there's a hierarchy, right? You're getting abused, but then you turn around and abuse other people. So that's basically what Diddy did, because Diddy was getting abused by Clive Davis, allegedly, and then he turns around and starts doing the same thing to other people. I told y'all what Jean-Jacques Rousseau said. People don't mind being abused so long as they're not at the bottom. So long as there's somebody below them who they can abuse, people look down instead of looking up. They're not going to fight against their own oppressors. They can feel like they're men and have some type of pride about themselves as long as there are people beneath them. And you can see Diddy on Making a Band, how he made them go and get the cheesecake. That was an ego trip. That's not professional. But he wanted to show that he was the boss. He's trying to be Donald Trump or whoever he's trying to be. He's a wannabe.
Now, to me, that reflects the financialization of the economy, whereby billionaires are created not by producing, not by creating, not by manufacturing, not by actually making excellent products, but just by manipulation of financial markets.
That was the crux of that live stream that I talked about when I explained how the economy works. That live stream got very few views. America, it has a service-oriented economy. Our wealth is stolen from the third world through manipulation of the exchange rates. The US dollar is the gold standard in the centralized banking system. So for all those people who keep talking about how we just need to pay for this and pay for that, that money is not coming out. That money is coming from the third. I'm not sorry, not the money. By the way, we don't have money. We have currency. So I need to make sure I'm using the right verbiage. The wealth, the resources are coming from the third country. So he's about to explain it in greater detail. But y'all go back and listen to that live stream, because this is, I mean, people are not explaining how this whole system works. It's going to crash because it's not sustainable.
Virtual money, virtual valuation of shares, stocks, what have you. Like I've said before, Elon Musk did not become as rich as he is now by selling Teslas. He got rich through financialization and share buybacks of Tesla to artificially inflate the share price, resulting in his net worth ballooning for no reason whatsoever connected to production or to sales.
Now, I talked to y'all about what Aristotle said about money chasing. The purpose of money is to facilitate a unit of exchange. It's supposed to be mutually beneficial. When money gives an unnatural birth to itself, meaning there's a replication of the money, or the currency in this case, without anything being produced, that is known as usury. And that, according to Aristotle, it's a vice. And man, I wish I could say a lot more, but it's one of the worst vices to do that. And also it actually leads to enslavement of humanity. You're exploiting these people. And Africa is giving us gold, silver, the metals that we use in our cell phones, oil, raw materials, and all they're getting in exchange is some paper money or digital money. And we're acting like we're being so charitable by giving them some foreign aid, even though we're the ones who are benefiting from that.
So in the financialized economy, profit and wealth are disconnected from actually creating or manufacturing products of value. It is unearned money. So it's the same with artists. It's the same. A singer or a rapper or what have you. It's like a Tesla. They're just a financial instrument. Their profile is the source of their profit. Their celebrity is the source of their.
Now, Emma Goldman is this anarchist who I've referenced several times in my content. She talked about how in capitalism, there's no value to art. It's just based on success, how much money you make. Like, if you can sell a shitty piece of art at a profit, then that is the measure of success. It's not based on its actual value or based on actual talent. And Schopenhauer talked about the whole importance of art, what was that called? I'm trying to think of what he called it. I did a whole live stream about that also, but basically the purpose of art and music is to escape reality. That life is suffering, and so the most effective means of escaping the realities of life is music. I mean, back then they didn't have movies and all that. So, but according to Schopenhauer, the most effective way to escape reality is through music. That I don't know. It does something different to people's psyche than other mediums. When you hear music, that it really penetrates deep into your psyche, and you can put all kind of subliminal messages in it. You're repeating these lyrics, not even realizing what the hell you're saying. Yeah, these people are really crafty, and they're shaping and molding society to be degenerate. And I don't know what to do about it. I mean, it's very powerful. They don't even let their own children listen to this shit, by the way. They don't even let their children watch the movies they produce. They shield their children because they know how powerful it is.
Profit. And it doesn't matter at all whether they have any talent or not. Just like it doesn't matter that there are so many electric cars on the market that are objectively superior to Tesla. Nor does it matter even that electric cars anyway are already absurdities to begin with. No one cares. You only have a company so that you can have shares in that company. Making things is tertiary to the purpose of a company, just like talent and producing quality songs or performances or what have you is tertiary to the purposes of an.
Now, I did another video talking about how capitalism is theft. It's that's the reason why statism is the root cause of it, because it's the state which gives recognition to property, to capital. When you buy land, it's the state which gives or recognizes that which as your property. When you have intellectual property, it's the state that is doing that. So music is capitalism or entertainment capitalism, that is a product of statism.
Of an artist or a performer. Entertainment and art have been financialized. So in other words, the people who are making the most money and who are running those sectors don't care even slightly about quality or producing anything of real artistic value. This is why you have so many celebrities that everyone wonders why on earth they are celebrities when they observably have no talent whatsoever. I mean, the most obvious example, of course, is the Kardashians, who don't even pretend to have a talent. But I mean, you can find countless others among those people who the entertainment industry tells us are the most talented people in their field.
And it's really just a money laundering scheme, because a lot of those celebrities, when you see somebody like Rihanna become a billionaire out of nowhere, she didn't make that money selling makeup and beauty products. No, she made that money. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all can say that this is sexist, but this is how it works. She's not the only one. She made that money lying on her back. The same thing with Cindy Crawford. I don't know if Jessica Simpson did the same thing, but they get these businesses out of nowhere and then they just become extremely wealthy. And it's not because they actually sold all those units. They did not. That business is a front for something else.
But who are painfully mediocre in reality. Well, okay, this is in and of itself corruption. These are people who have built wealth without building value. So it's both corruption and immaturity. It's deceitful and parasitic, and it divorces reward from merit, from work, from discipline, from worth. It's getting without deserving. So you don't go through the development process as a person or as a society that you have to go through to actually deserve reward.
So he clearly has read Jean-Jacques Rousseau, because he's talking about that whole process of learning right from wrong, and getting a natural punishment and receiving natural rewards. So he's well read and he knows his stuff.
That's the maturation process that can actually make you appreciate the reward once you have earned it. It's the maturation process that gives you integrity. Because unearned reward is just the other side of the coin of unaccountability. You know, if you can have unearned reward, then you will also feel that you should not have earned punishment. These are the two sides of the same attitude. Because you gained your wealth and your fame and so on outside the traditional framework of merit, hard work, and talent. So you will also feel that you exist outside the framework of accountability in terms of your wrongdoing. You're someone for whom the rules do not apply, because if the rules applied, well, then you wouldn't even be rich and famous, because you don't deserve that and you haven't earned that by producing value. So you think that the rules don't apply either to your merit or to your demerit. This is very, very Western. So now you have people controlling incredibly influential cultural sectors who don't care in the least about producing quality. These people give you the soundtrack, the reference points, the lexicon, the standards, the style, the attitude, the perspective, the personality, the ambiance that pervades your whole society and culture.
But there's all these institutions that to validate that what you're doing is right. So I guess in the music industry, you're going to get a Grammy. You can get an Academy Award. It's I mean, that's what it is. It's like you get some kind of validation from it, and it doesn't matter whether you actually have talent. You got the Academy Award, which means that you have validation to show that you have talent, even though you actually don't.
These degenerate, deranged, deceitful, diabolical people are like the cinematographers who set the framing of your view of the world. They're the filter of popular culture that's placed over the lens through which you see reality. And it's a very dark and very warped lens. But again, this is your so-called civilization. You know, you have this thing now going around now. I've seen it online that people openly talk about, what they call yachting, which is nothing but celebrities and models and actors, singers, what have you, literally being paid to fornicate with wealthy men on yachts, basically floating diddy parties.
And there was a woman, I don't remember her name, there was a woman who auctioned her virginity off to these wealthy men. That she sold her virginity to the highest bidder.
And no one's offended, no one is outraged. Somehow for you, this is not disgusting. Because the lottery mentality of the West, you all hope to one day be one of those rich men on one of those yachts. Because you just take it as a given that this is the sort of thing that the rich get up to. And the only reason you don't get up to the same kind of debauchery and the same kind of predation as the rich is just because your finances prevent you. Not your morality, your finances. I mean, do you see how this looks to a Muslim? I mean, we see your social media platforms, Instagram, X, what have you, Facebook. These are largely being used just as delivery platforms, directing people to OnlyFans accounts or bookings for prostitutes. Your whole popular culture hypersexualizes women, glorifies violence, condones prostitution, promiscuity, drug use, drinking, pimping, gangsterism, and crime. And then you clutch your pearls in shock and disgust when one of you gets caught doing in real life what you always promoted in your songs and videos and movies. When you get caught acting in real life the same way that you acted on screen. When you get caught living the lifestyle that all of you tell each other is living the dream. Well, it looks to a Muslim like the only thing that you're actually offended about or outraged about is the getting caught part. But then, like I said, you just use those opportunities as a chance.
But that's the whole thing. Even when it comes to like homosexuality, they'll act like they're so homophobic, right? But the smoke really goes to the person who's out. But when these men are on a DL and they have a wife on the side, they don't get the smoke. I mean, you see all these people who are well, known homophobes. They're all defending Diddy, even though Diddy was having sex with men, because Diddy does not portray himself as, I don't know, the stereotypical gay man or bisexual man. He presents himself as someone who's masculine, as an alpha man. So this stuff is so pretentious. As long as you present the right image and you're not going to have a bad reflection on black men, then it's okay to engage in homosexual behavior. But I mean, there's no, I don't know, there's no respect for being honest or, living your truth. It's just performative. Just don't make us look bad. Go ahead and do your thing. And that's what, I mean, the fact that you're pushing these people into the closet is what's making them degenerate. Now, Diddy feels that he has to lash out and get revenge by graping straight men, right? Because he has some kind of resentment that he got teased and he could not be himself. So now he's targeting straight men and forcing them to be his bitch because he was their bitch at some point.
Chance to pretend to be disgusted by the behavior of people whom you made rich because they promoted that same behavior in their songs and movies and videos. I mean, why weren't you disgusted by it when it was put to a beat? Why, if Diddy had released tapes of his parties in the form of music videos, his net worth would have tripled and he probably would have gotten a VMA award. Because the fact is, you approve of all this. You aspire to it. And in fact, that degenerate lifestyle, that predation, and that debauchery with impunity is actually the American dream. It's the colonizer, slave master, Western imperialist dream. And you know, for anyone who's over there in the States or in the West who genuinely, truly does feel disgusted and outraged over this kind of thing, because I know there are some of you, all I can say is, you know how they talk about situational awareness? You know, having that awareness of your surroundings and what's going on around you so that you can be alert to any threats or dangers nearby. Well, let's call this civilizational awareness. And just like someone who is oblivious to the threats and dangers around them on the street, you say that they have low situational awareness. Well, you have low civilizational awareness because you are truly walking around in a cloud of propaganda and indoctrination and obliviousness.
Americans are completely oblivious to how the outside world perceives us. They're completely oblivious to why people come to America in the first place and what they're hoping to gain from it. They're oblivious to the predatory intentions of politicians. They are oblivious to pop culture. They are oblivious to everything. They're even oblivious to life under capitalism, that they have deluded themselves to think that there's something beautiful about this. And they're just going to enslave their own children to it. And then basically they're throwing their children to the lions and they're going to watch helplessly as their children get devoured. So this is what capitalism is. It's predators and prey. And nobody wants to be the prey. So in order to avoid being the prey, then you have to become a damn predator. So those are really the only two choices. There is no middle ground.
About the reality of the so-called civilization that you live in. You think that you're walking around in a park in the middle of a sunny afternoon surrounded by flowers and fuzzy animals, but you're actually in a dead-end alley at 3 in the morning in the pitch dark, and you're surrounded by psychopaths and serial killers. No, people like Epstein.
And if they realize that that's what life is, do you think they would procreate? Well, maybe they would, because they don't seem to care. They don't seem to care. I don't know what would wake these people up, but they don't realize that they're putting their children, or they're basically throwing their children into a lion's den. Nobody's telling them that, obviously. And even when I say it, nobody wants to hear that shit, especially if they already have children. It's fine. If you have children, I'm not telling you to feel whatever. I mean, you can't do anything about that. I'm just don't have any more and stop promoting this culture, because all you're doing is enslaving more people to this oppressive status capitalistic bullshit.
And Weinstein and Sean Combs are not anomalies. You're the anomaly. And in that predatory society, that makes you nothing but prey.
So that's the end of it, y'all. I posted a link. I don't know if anybody wants to come up here, but I know I started this live stream late, so I probably could have had more people if I started earlier. I just heard an echo. Anyway, let me I did post a link if anybody wants to come up here. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up. But yeah, it's the culture itself. It's not like these people are anomalies. They came out of this culture. This is what is producing people like that. And they're not we can look at them, but there's people in everyday life who are predators who would love to get away with this stuff, right? You go to work and your boss sexually harasses you. If he could get away with it, he would go even further, but he knows you're going to go to HR. He knows you're going to call the police. These people can't go to the police because the police are broad and they have more lawyers that they can either wait it out or buy you out or whatever. In order for Cassie to be able to do what she did, the system allowed her to do it, right? She had protection because Diddy pissed off the wrong people. And now they're going to weaponize the dirt that they had on him for years. They knew that he did. They know about all of them. They know the same. Bill Cosby. allegedly what Quaaludes, he was giving them Quaaludes, and they all knew about it. People were talking about this back in the 70s and 80s. In fact, he did a stand-up routine making jokes about it. Y'all can go back and watch that. But now all of a sudden, 30 years later, they want to bring it up. Why? Because it's ammunition for something else. He was trying to buy MVC. Now, the stuff that Dr. Umar Johnson said about Diddy, I didn't listen to the whole thing because I felt that initially he was just defending Diddy, and I couldn't listen to it. But I've heard other people review his content, and now they're explaining that there was some kind of business deal going on with the alcohol, and he sued the company, and now they're trying to get revenge. But he actually did do these things. It's just they didn't actually care about the victims. They're using that now to try to put them back in his place. So, I mean, this is the whole capitalistic system. It's this dog eat dog. You're either the predator or the prey. They want to win at all costs. And I mean, this is the reason why it's so immoral to procreate. You're putting your children in this system, and they have no means to defend themselves. So you may not be a celebrity, you may not be getting abused by Diddy, but you're getting abused on a daily basis by your employer and society. This whole thing is exploitive, and even if you're not seeing it directly affect you, you are being exploited, and you are exploiting other people. You're exploiting people just by using the U.S. dollar. You are oppressing the third world and keeping them in poverty just by the fact that you exist in this country, which produces absolutely nothing. So we're all in on it. We're all in it. There's degrees. There are people who are far worse than us, but nobody's innocent. Nobody's innocent. We're all just exploiting each other, and that's what life is. Life is getting through by taking from others. That's the reason why life is so immoral. So I'm going to get off here, y'all. I'm glad there are people who actually stuck by and listened to this whole thing. But for those of you who listen to this tomorrow or whenever, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you think. And hopefully I'll be doing more content this weekend.